It's July 1987. Thatcher gets re-elected, the Channel Tunnel gets greenlit, and the Titanic is being salvaged. Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up is released. Kylie Minogue starts her pop career with Locomotion, and MTV launches with Money for Nothing by Dire Straits as its first ever music video. At the movies, Jaws gets his revenge, Alex Murphy gets blown to a million pieces, Superman takes on Nuclear Man, and 007 gets a new name, Timothy Dalton. And Jack Bauer is hungry, horny, and hanging off bridges in... What is it, AJ?
The Lost Boys. Dire Straits. I didn't know they opened with the Dire Straits. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a tune. Money for Nothing.
Chicks for free.
Dun, 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 dun. Right.
Welcome back to Rewind Classic Movies podcast about films we probably saw as kids, even if we didn't understand the adult themes. I'm GB, and with me is my co-host AJ.
Yes, it's me, AJ, and I like saying favourite with more R's than strictly necessary. It's all the upper class interbreeding.
What is that about? Because I sort of subtly noticed that over the course of our 2 seasons, and I didn't want to say anything.
I've not noticed it at all until someone picked it up on, I don't know, YouTube. It was one of the YouTube shorts, I think you said, and someone said favourite. I was like, oh yeah, I do say favourite. I don't say favourite. I say favourite.
We should get that on a t-shirt.
I think we should.
Be some merch branding for us.
I'm going to lean into that now. Favourite.
Right. What have you been watching? What have you been doing?
I watched Days of Thunder the other day.
Did you? Cole Trickle.
It was, well, yeah, and Farm Boy.
Yeah. Carrie Elwes. So we did the Fast Forward episode where we looked at Tom Cruise's Eras tour,
yeah,
and all these movies, and that inspired you to watch Days of Thunder.
It inspired me to watch it because, you know, it pops up on, I don't know, Netflix or whatever it was on, and I thought, oh, I'll watch that. Fell asleep halfway through. Genuinely bored. Oh. I mean, we might end up doing it at some point, so spoilers if we do.
You're not a motor racing fan, are you?
Well, I used to be, back when, I don't know, Damon Hill and Schumacher, and I used to watch it with my old man, and, I don't know, Berger,
Gerhard Berger. So that's 30 years ago.
Yes, when it was fun and interesting. What about you?
I've been watching a weird amount of Bond behind the scenes making of documentaries from like the 70s and 80s. I watched The Spy Who Loved Me. That was good. Everyone's smoking, even Roger Moore. And Carol, I think I knew this, but Carol Bouquet, who played Melina, couldn't scuba dive, so they had to find a way to film all her underwater scenes not in water.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, they filmed it all like above water and like with fans or something, and then CGI'd in like bubbles. It's mental, absolutely
mental. This is The Spy Who Loved Me.
Yeah, and it looks great.
Wow.
And I've just watched The Man with the Golden Gun behind the scenes, and as I texted you earlier, everyone is talking about Hervé Villechaize, aka Knick Knack, the little guy.
Yeah.
What a horny little bastard he was. Just wanting to shag everything.
Oh, it sounds like the cats on our balcony at the moment.
Oh.
They're all at it at the moment.
Nice.
There you go.
Right, before we get into it, remember you can join us over on Patreon for behind-the-scenes updates, early episodes, monthly live hangouts, and more. Just head over to patreon.com/Rewind Classic Movies.
But you can support the show for free by leaving a review wherever you listen, or by telling someone else about it. Please do that. If you do know someone that likes The Lost Boys, then please send them a link or search for us on the Interflugen.
Oh, I like Interflugen.
I must admit, at the moment, you can't see me and I can't see you. Now, I know that you're looking spectacular because I've seen the photograph. I'm wrapped in a blanket and a scarf and a hat.
I thought you were dressed as E.T.
No, I actually haven't got it over my head at the moment. It's Baltic here this week, and we've got no heating in the house, so I'm wrapped up. So I'm sorry for anyone that's watching, thinking like this is fucking weird. It is, but there you go.
I think that's week to week. I was going for like 80s rock vampire, and was getting there with the eye makeup, you know, the smoky eye makeup, the guy liner, the eyeshadow, and then thought, do you know what this needs? This needs a widow's peak. This just needs the little vampire V haircut thing, which with me with a receding hairline I don't naturally have. So we've painted it on with eyeliner, and now I've ended up looking like a Wish version of Ming from Flash Gordon.
Well, hey there, Ming.
I look shit. But there we are.
I don't know if you look shit. I mean,
Oh,
did you
thanks.
see me? If anyone is interested to see me in makeup, you can go to the Rocky Horror Picture Show podcast we did in season 1, and I'm dressed even with a pearl necklace, an actual pearl necklace, that is.
Thank you for clarifying. I tell you what, let's do this. Directed by Joel Schumacher, who'd previously helmed St. Elmo's Fire and would go on to direct Batman Forever, The Lost Boys was released in July 1987 and cost around $8.5 million to make. It was a fairly bold reinvention of the vampire genre, blending horror, comedy and teen culture with a heavy MTV influence, helping redefine vampires for a new generation. They're cool, they're dangerous, and they're very, very 80s. The film would go on to make over $32 million at the box office, and while not heavily awarded at the time, has become a cult classic, praised for its style, soundtrack, and iconic performances from Kiefer Sutherland and co. AJ, tell me about your history avec this mouvoir.
Oh, nice. I see what you did there. Went a bit French.
Sort of.
Sort of. I've not seen it.
What?
I know.
No way. We were just talking about, before we started the show, how...
Well, what am I supposed to say? Well, yes, I've seen it. Many times. I was like, no, I've not seen it.
I mean, you have seen it now because you've just watched it for the rewind, right? Let's make that clear. You have now seen it.
I have now seen it. This is the first time I've seen it. I have watched it. Absolutely.
But someone bashed you online, didn't they? As it were.
They did. I was actually going to read the comment later in the comment section.
We'll get to that later.
Yes,
we'll get to the people abusing AJ section later.
Absolutely. I mean, I do like to be abused, in fairness. Now, I thought I had seen it, but I think I was getting mixed up with Interview with a Vampire, which because I had a feeling that this was more, well, I don't know, less funny than it was. I thought it was a little bit more serious. And I was actually quite pleasantly surprised when you get to the end, but we'll talk about that later. So, yeah, I think I was getting mixed up with an Interview for a Vampire. But what about you?
I got mixed up with Interview with a Vampire in my outfit. I think I've sort of come a bit Tom Cruise, big shirt thing. But I first watched this when I was about 16, I'm guessing, because it was with my first girlfriend who was a big fan of it and had it on VHS. She loved the album. And I think most of the girls our age at the time had a bit of a thing for it. I think it's the male cast, the vampires, and the tone in the film all adds up to be like fucking catnip for teenage girls for some reason. And it happened again later, of course, with Twilight. But yeah, so I'm very familiar with it. But it was definitely one of those movies where the soundtrack was bigger than the movie in my sort of age group. But we'll get on to the music. Let's talk about the start of the movie.
Let's. The whole start is really cool. And I like it reminded me a lot of it's the start of the Karate Kid when they're moving, house from wherever it is to this new place. Similar kind of thing. You got the mum, the two boys, the trailer with all the bits and pieces in. They're moving to this, Californian coastal town. And
I never thought about that comparison before. That's quite good because that was 3 years before this or something.
Was it 3 years before? Yeah, yeah. Do you like that? You see,
yeah,
I
very
like
good
that comparison. I thought that I'd really researched that. Something. I like the fact they're turning up with the trailer, and you've got the two boys in the car, and you've got the mum, and they're sort of looking out the windows like, wow, and all the different shots of the town, of all the different people, it really sells this Californian coastal surfing town. You've got the surfers there, you've got, I don't know, the goths hanging out over there, the people over there, you've got the people on the boardwalk over there, you've got all these people hanging out doing the thing that they do in California. It really sells it. I want to go and visit this town. I do. It looks really cool, as a tourist, especially in the 80s.
World.
Yes, right. And obviously, all the the missing posters are being stuck up around town. You're going, what's going on here, etc., etc. And you got some really interesting helicopter shots from above. And my
interesting is a word because I use the word janky because when they're showing that journey from the helicopter, it's not stable, and it's easy to forget now how, with drones and stuff, how movies used to look. Those shots are, they could benefit from some stabilization.
dude, my son was saying, did they not have drones? And it's like, well, no, this is literally the mid-'80s, gimbals and drones. This is some guy strapped into a helicopter holding on to this massive camera trying to shoot it. And there's you've got all the fog, you've got all that sort of stuff, you've got all the boardwalk bits and pieces. So it really sets the tone for it. And then suddenly they turn up with this great log cabin with this old hippie in, her dad. And it looks great. I mean, to be honest, I'd love to turn up to a place like that. It looks like a really cool sort of cabin up in the woods in the wilderness. It looks like a great place to go and live in. So yeah, opens sort of interestingly.
Well, what you missed off though is the actual start of the movie, which we get the song "Cry Little Sister," and we are at the fairground at night with Keith Sutherland and co. being threatening to all the people on the ride. On
the merry-go-round with the horses. Yeah, no, this is true.
I just thought that was a great intro to Keith Sutherland's character, sort of panning up through the fog.
Yes, the security guard with the truncheon around his neck.
Yeah.
Like, get off the boardwalk.
They seem genuinely kind of intimidating.
Absolutely. But the shots where they descend onto that guy, though, and lift him out of the air, and that's sort of zooming in. It's quite funny.
But let's talk about how this movie came to be. First-time screenwriters Janice Fisher and James Jeremias sold the Lost Boys script $400,000. Jeremias loved Peter Pan and said, quotes, "What if the reason Peter Pan came out at night and never grew up and could fly was because he was a vampire?" Now, I like that idea. I think that's a good take and an interesting way to approach it. I think it's got fucking nothing to do with Peter Pan at the end of the day, but there we are.
It's nothing to do with Peter Pan.
No, I think it was sort of a bit too subtle on that approach, if anything. But it was originally meant to be directed by Richard Donner.
No way. Now, that's interesting because later... Well, yeah, I mean, I'm going to draw some comparisons to the Goonies later.
Well, the screenplay was modelled on the Goonies.
It makes a lot of sense, and also some of the cast, obviously, being in the Goonies, but it also, some of it later on does feel very Goonies. So, that makes a lot of sense, yeah. Yeah,
the third act. So, I mean, Lost Boys was originally going to have a younger, more fun cast of like 13 and 14-year-old vampires. Star was meant to be a young boy, and the Frog Brothers were, quotes, chubby 8-year-old Cub Scouts. And I was going to say, it does get a bit Goonies in the third act when they go and hunt the vampires underground. But Richard Donner had committed to other things, but he does get an executive producer credit. So Joel Schumacher was brought on. Donner is apparently the guy responsible for making the film, or suggesting that the film becomes sexier and more adult. And to do that, they brought in screenwriter Jeffrey Boam. I'm going to pronounce that wrong, who had done Inner Space, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and Lethal Weapon 2. Schumacher said he had one of the greatest casts in the world. So should we talk about the cast?
Let's. It's a hell of a cast. It's a hell of a cast. I mean, I tell you what, who blew me away as a casting, although not necessarily as a particularly standout actor in this, but the mum, Diane West.
Yes.
Because she just won an Oscar.
Yeah. Academy Award. Is that the same thing? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Best Supporting Actress.
And, I mean, because obviously I recognise this. Oh, yeah, I know her. And she'd won an Oscar, and then she was in this, and I didn't actually think she was particularly good in this necessarily.
Oh, really?
Not really, no. I was expecting a bigger something from her. She just felt like, I don't know, I didn't buy it. She just felt a bit too, they're boys just being boys. I just felt if you got two teenage boys like that, I thought I just imagined her being a different mum than she was. I didn't think she played the mum role particularly well. I'm not going to lie.
Do you think this is partly, you just said the words, I was expecting her. And I think expectation going into movies is the killer of all fucking joy.
All right.
I thought she was really good. I thought she has this, in almost everything, she sort of has this classic horror character vibe, which is like a mix of fragility and sort of fearlessness. And I thought she brought that. But she was Joel Schumacher's first choice, but he didn't think she would do it because she just won the Academy Award.
Interesting. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, it's just a thing. Yeah. I don't know. I just thought she's a bit. I don't know, a bit weak in the role itself, kind of thing. But what though interested me was the fact that she just won an Academy Award.
Keith Sutherland?
He's in it.
He's in it.
Damn it, Chloe. Give me CTU.
Was that your Jack Bauer?
Yeah. That was quite Jack. Damn it, Chloe. Damn it.
Oh, it's quite subtle.
Well, you know.
Throughout this movie, his character is a massive knut. And
can't you say cunt?
No, can't say
that. Right, okay.
It's just got like crazy eyes, and Joel Schumacher just said of him that he can do almost anything. He described him as a born character actor.
I expected him to have. Because I'd not seen this film before until I watched it for this podcast, which I've seen. Just want to put that out there. I expected him to have a bigger role in it. Not a bigger role. A bigger role. I thought he was going to have much more in it. I know, obviously, he has a big role in it, but not huge. And also doesn't actually say much.
Funny you say that. Joel Schumacher said he has the least amount of dialogue in the movie, but his presence is extraordinary.
Oh, right. Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, yeah, exactly that. I was expecting him to have a bigger lead role in it because obviously, there you go.
Do you think anything looked a bit off about him? Anything off about his body, about his person?
Well, the prosthetics on his...
Looking like a fucking vampire.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, no?
No, me neither. But he broke his right wrist while doing a wheelie on the bike during filming.
And yes.
Then had to wear gloves on set the whole time to hide the cast.
I read about that, yeah.
And then he said his motorbike for the movie was adapted so he could operate it with his left hand only. Jesus.
Wow. The fact they still let him ride a motorbike and the insurance would allow that. I mean, different times, man, different times.
But I think he's good in this, right? Like, I can't imagine anyone doing it better. He's got that intimidating thing about him.
Very much.
Handsome.
Very much.
Would you follow him into a dark cave and drink whatever he offers you?
Oh, mate, I'm there. Sign me up. I'll be, right at the front of the queue with old Keith.
Yeah. On the flip side of that, it's Jason Patric.
Man, the sunglasses which he wears, I was Googling them because I would like a pair. Very cool. I like it when he's come back from drinking the blood and he's lying in his bed and he puts sunglasses on and he's got like that kind of black leather jacket. It's just cool. It's just so cool. I like that
the hair,
a lot.
The sunglasses, the jacket.
Yeah, totally.
Or the vision.
It's just really cool. I think his chops throughout the film are actually really, really good. Yeah, I liked him a lot in this film. I think he was brilliantly cast.
I was I've underrated him in this, in my memory. And I also thought he was really good. But it's such a non-one-dimensional performance. Multiple dimensions, you might say. He turned it down many times, apparently, because he just didn't want to do a vampire film. And eventually was won over by Joel Schumacher, who presented his vision and promised to let the cast have more creative input. Keith Sutherland said that he was just really important in how the film turned out. And I think you can see that. Like, he doesn't want to do a straight vampire film, doesn't want to do a straight role of someone who's a bit of a victim or whatever. You can really see him bringing this extra dimension to it.
Right. Interesting. So he got involved with the creative side of things. That's quite cool.
Yeah.
No way.
I mean, you could imagine how this would have turned out with someone just being, a teenage guy who goes along, drinks the blood, becomes a bit fucking vampire-y and is, but I'm not really. But he does add so much more depth to it.
Yeah.
And I think at times he looks a bit like Episode 3's Anakin Skywalker. Ding, ding.
I want to say that I don't know what that looks like, but I'm worried too. Oh, yes. So you can edit out. Yes, I know exactly what you mean. He looks just like Anakin Skywalker in Episode 3. Or, second choice, I have no idea what you're fucking talking about because I've not seen it.
Depends how we want to paint you in this episode. What do you want you to be?
There you go.
Let's talk about Corey Haim.
Yes.
My first note on Corey Haim is he died in 2010, age 38, tragically.
I had no idea. It's a terrible shame and quite a sad story when you read about it.
Yeah. He's about 15 in this. He's got so much energy. It's really dynamic. Brings a lot of the humour and the lightness to what is quite a dark film. And he's fucking brilliant.
I love his character in this, and I think he portrays... They both do. Both Corey Haim and Jason Patric play brothers exceptionally well. They take the piss out of each other a lot, but they're also there for each other completely and utterly, and you really buy that. Because I see it a lot in my kids. As much as they piss each other off, they're absolutely there for each other all the time. And I don't know, when he's in the bath and he comes in and I don't know, he says something like, "Oh fuck, you wait till I tell Mum that you're a fucking vampire," or something like that. It's just the comic timing of it is just
that.
brilliant.
I'm going to come back to that later as well. That's,
excellent! It's just, I remember that bit, and it's just there's the comedy there is brilliant. The timing is brilliant. He brings so much to this film, I think, in a comedy aspect. That, let's say, Jason Patric brings the cool. Corey Haim brings the fun. I sort of prefer his character over Jason Patric's character.
They are the yin and the yang for me. Like, Jason Patric is kind of the dark, the brooding, and he's like the light and the fun. And they balance each other out so well. I would say that Corey Haim in this, for me, sort of defines that 80s acting, which is fun, it's energetic, and it's just got real presence and energy about it, and I love it and I miss it. And I think, I don't know what's happened to acting in the past 30 years, but I miss this kind of vibe. Then we got Jamie Gertz as Star. Schumacher originally wanted what he described as a waifish blonde in the sort of vein of Meg Ryan. But when this is where we talk about Jason Patric's influence, it was him who really pressed for them to get Jamie Gertz in, because he just worked with her on Solar Babies.
Okay.
Like that. And she reminds me a bit of Shakira, actually. So yeah, it was Patrick that was almost entirely responsible for her being cast. What do you think of her?
I don't think her character, and this is not her reflecting on her as an actress, but I don't think her character really brought anything to it at all, other than just the woman or the girl that had to be there, and that's about it, really. I didn't really buy it at all.
She's kind of the prize. She's sort of the MacGuffin in a way.
Yeah, she could have been much stronger as a character. That she could have been, also leather clad and part of the gang, but she sort of wasn't at all, really. Do you think this is us looking at it with modern eyes, or with stronger female roles and everything now? Or? Right. All right. Fuck it. We're going to talk about it. So,
okay,
we paused this and had a chat about this as a family because we drew parallels between Stranger Things and this. My kids got a big... I've not really watched Stranger Things. I'm not really that into it, but the kids certainly are, and they drew a lot of parallels from Stranger Things into this. And my daughter especially, said it's amazing how these films, and especially that particular character, isn't particularly strong. They're just sort of a bit of a... oh. Whereas in Stranger Things and more modern things now, women are much stronger. If you look at all the people, you've obviously seen, you must have seen Stranger Things, yeah?
Yeah.
All the people in all the girls in Stranger Things, very strong leads, very strong independent women. I think that's becoming more and more a thing, rightly so. And in the 80s, I don't think it was a thing. Women were, this kind of, the men all...
But I'm just going to quote two examples at you.
Okay. Princess
Leia and Ellen Ripley.
Ripley came up. We talked about Ripley. Didn't talk about Princess Leia because didn't really know much about it. But Ripley, yes, we did actually talk about. We did talk about Ripley and Vasquez, who's equally.
But they were the exceptions. Like,
cool.
it's easy to go, but you had Princess Leia. She was not the norm.
No, that was the exception, not the rule.
They're there to be saved.
Something like that. Yeah. And I just didn't really buy it. She could have been, I don't know, quote unquote, stronger and still been a good character. She's like the bait / prize, and and they've slept together, and
that's definitely a writing problem.
Yeah.
A few others on my list. You got Alex Winter from Bill and Ted.
Oh, mate. It's right. Yeah.
But I've got nothing to say about him.
No, because he doesn't really have a big role in this. But every time you see his face, I just want to go, wild stallions, you know?
Yeah, he really stands out now. He wouldn't have done at the time.
No, I know.
Then you got Corey Feldman, who's putting on a really weird, deep voice that at times sounds like Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder.
Yes! It was a bit weird, wasn't it? It
really
was
weird.
A bit weird.
It got weirder as the movie went on.
Yeah, it was quite funny.
But that's the only cast I'm planning on talking about. Is there any other cast members you want to talk about?
You know, obviously Corey Feldman was there, and it's like, and that's again the parallels to the Goonies, especially later on. You know, when like you said in the third act, when it's all getting a bit mental in the house, it all feels a bit Goonies, and he's there, obviously, you know, in the Goonies.
He's there like the bass in that song in David Bowie's Labyrinth.
Yeah,
he's there.
He's there. He's there. There he is.
He's good. He's just a bit weird. It
almost
felt like a bit of a waste of Corey Feldman.
And I don't know, his compatriot, the guys, you know, him and the other guy whose name actually I don't know, in from the comic shop, who are there to, you know, kill all the vampires. These two kids who are like, yeah, we're gonna take it on and make it our mission to sort it all out. I thought they were quite fun. You know, I thought they brought a lot of humour to it. I quite like their double act, if you will. The Frog Brothers.
Well, those two would go on to appear in more Lost Boys movies. The only other person I was going to talk about is Joel Schumacher, the director. I only really think of him for Batman and Robin. That's my standout memory of Joel Schumacher.
He's done loads of stuff, though.
So I forget that he's done this.
Much.
Like Sit Down With Fire, Falling Down, Flatliners, 8mm, Phone Booth. It's like...
God, did he do 8mm?
So much. Yeah.
That was dark, man.
But I just can't get past like Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. I think of it.
Falling Down is brilliant.
Yeah, I watched that like a couple of months ago. Awesome movie.
Yeah, amazing.
Without getting into what I think of the movie yet, this really is a stylistic movie that Joel Schumacher has curated. You can't deny that vibe that he's created, and it's arguably a bit style over substance, but we'll get into it.
I mean, it went on to, you know, do so much for the genre, if you will.
Right, so about the visuals. Firstly, the thing that struck me during that opening People Are Strange scene, you know, and that they're doing the travel and stuff.
When you're a stranger.
I just had this moment where I realised how much I love the look of 80s movies. The film stocks are great. You can't beat it. And I just think it's a large part of the reason why 80s movies felt real but special, and this like timeless quality about it. It looks beautiful. The old films have this like wonderful texture that modern films just don't. And yeah, I know you can put grain into, you know, post effects and color grading and digital and stuff. You can put film stock LUTs and stuff on what have you, but it just doesn't. It's just not the same, is it? It does. The film stock is beautiful. It just looks different. You can get close to recreating it, but it misses some of the magic. And there's something also I've noticed quite a bit, and I don't think it's a budgetary thing, but it's just not quite focused, or someone's just not pulled the focus quite right, or there was no autofocus back then. You know?
No, exactly. It's all pulling everything, and sometimes it's like, that's a little bit hazy, or just a little bit not, and it's great because everything now is so perfect and pin sharp. It's like, actually, I kind of like when that's just it's just a little bit out of focus, and it's just a little bit blurry. It just makes it for me. You know, there's a lot of examples of really good Hollywood movies that do not have perfect focus all the time, and I think it's a great example of how the shot matters for its content and what happens in the frame, not necessarily everything that's in focus in the frame and stuff, and everything perfect. And I just love that. I think it adds to that dreamlike, slightly imagination vibe that you get from a lot of these movies that makes them, you know, bigger than reality. Yeah. It's funny because we're talking about just that. We were just at the skate park with my two kids, and we took along. We're borrowing a camera at the moment for my daughter's doing some GCSE bits and pieces, and I took the camera down and was getting some shots of them. And it was dusk, and I was doing some long exposure things, trying to get a sort of blur going on, and trying to get some motion and bits and pieces with the skating and stuff like that. And I've got lots of out of focus stuff where you can see who it is, but it's just a little bit blurry. But you've got this great motion feel to it, and trying to sort of explain, like, yeah, it hasn't all got to be pinch up. You can just have this blur because it makes still a great shot, you know, that's still worth looking at. So yeah, it is all about the framing and not that it has to all be in focus and look incredible.
Totally. And what does look incredible is the style of everybody in this movie. They went a bit different. I mean, Kiefer's look is amazing. He's got the mullet hair, the eyes, the short beard.
His
huge coat is cool.
Wonderful.
Yeah. He looks great. All the outfit looks great.
Yeah.
And I tell you why. I think it's because they fit the world and the characters that are in it.
I mean, it's very of its time. It kind of makes me. It's sort of very punk / goth kind of that kind of look. It's great. It you know, and I love it because I used to dress a little bit like that when I was young. You know. Well,
I made the note that they all have this slight edge of long hair 80s rock stars with fancy outfits. Really, I mean, actually, they could be a shit 80s band. And I think one of them refers to one of them as like. That Twisted Sister guy or something like that.
Oh yeah, God, yeah. Twisted Sister. I've not listened to their music in fucking years. I want to rock. When they fly in and out of that cave, because obviously the vampires are flying back into the cave, and how they've done that shot where they've obviously, I don't know, flown a camera in, and there's one point where the camera exits the cave, and you see the sea breaking, like, you know, backwards. So they've just reversed the shot as it's flying out, which is quite funny.
Good eyes. The only other thing I was going to talk about on the visuals is the vampire faces. Like Kiefer's reveal of his vampire face is really intense, and his features change, and he's sort of all lit by the fire, and it's borderline comically over the top. He looks a bit swollen.
Yes.
But I thought it was a really strong look.
Yeah, it's funny because you look at it now and you go, oh yeah, that's like any sort of vampire film where they've changed the faces for the bloodlust like they do in Buffy and what have you. But this is way before any of that.
I think Buffy, if from memory serves, I think the Buffy look of the vampires was quite like this.
It was exactly like this.
Was it?
It was exactly like this from my memory. As soon as I saw the faces, like they look like normal people, then when they want to feed, quote unquote, they become vampires. The face comes on, the forehead.
It's like bigger temples, bigger forehead vibe.
Absolutely, very much so. Yeah. They look like Klingons, basically. It's like you turn Klingon, grow the teeth out, we're going to business, we're going to do business on your neck now. And it's... but they set the tone. That sort of, set the way for Buffy and all that sort of stuff. And also when they're upside down, and I think it's Winters maybe who gets stabbed by Feldman. It's just the ridiculous amount of like blood that goes everywhere. Well, not blood. It's just like it's almost goo that's like dripping on them all, which is quite funny. I was expecting him to stab and just die, but like he, dies a horrible, horrible death. It's quite funny.
And it's funny because I saw the vampire look. I mean, which is quite different from what Interview with the Vampire just before this, where it's still normal looking blokes, really a bit sexy with sharp teeth.
With just sharp teeth, yeah.
But the makeup was originally going to be far more elaborate, apparently.
Oh wow!
And this was them going light to make the prosthetics easier and quicker.
Oh Christ! Wow!
Can you imagine, like, where were they going to go with it? Man.
Yeah, right. I wondered. Do you remember then? The Mask with Jim Carrey and the bad guy who becomes the Mask. His face is wonderful.
Yes, it's got that vibe about it.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing, and that's heavyweight. In fact, I forget his name. I know he only recently died, only a few months ago. That's horrific. That kind of, and that looks a very sort of vampire, monster, demon kind of face. Although very green.
But I could picture his face without the green, bizarrely, but still that kind of bigness.
Very much. Yeah.
Let's move on to music, because this movie for me, as I sort of said earlier, when I was younger, the music was as big, if not bigger, than the movie for my group of friends. And throughout, it's just a great soundtrack. It treads that weird line between musical and movie with great music.
It does, doesn't it? There's some wicked tracks in this. I mean, fucking Walk This Way is in
Yes.
this. When they're around the campfire getting eaten by all the vampires, you know?
Yeah, but not part of the soundtrack, technically.
Yeah, true.
That's the weird thing for me, is it's not on the soundtrack. It's not referenced anywhere.
Oh, is it not? It's not on the OST at all?
No.
They couldn't have got the licensing then, I suppose.
Yeah,
for
it's just a song that plays.
Funny.
But like, you know, you got the Lost in the Shadows scene in the beginning. You got Cry Sister is good whenever it appears, which is several times. But it's one of the most memorable movie soundtracks for me, and one of the reasons why next week's Fast Forward episode is going to be our top 10 favourite movie soundtracks.
Absolutely.
So what do you think of the music overall then?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, People Are Strange. That was a great one.
I always found that weird. That was never a song I liked.
Oh, really?
It's
one of
got
the
that
first
kind of
ones I learned on
kookiness
the
about it,
guitar,
which
so I
puts
quite
me
like it.
Yeah, it's got... That's how I hear it.
Fair enough.
I had the soundtrack on before we did this, and it's still good fun. It's so varied. That's the weird thing. I think of it as being just a very dark soundtrack, but it's not.
For me, when they all go to that gig when they first arrive in town, and the oiled up saxophone player.
Yeah.
What the fuck was that about?
Yeah.
I mean, his mic technique was crap. I don't know who it is. I haven't looked up anything to do with. I don't know if you know who he is or if he.
Yes, his name's Tim.
Oh, Tim.
He's on the soundtrack. It's the guy from the soundtrack. Yeah. Tim Capello.
Brilliant.
So Tim
Okay.
Capello, he's like the WWF wrestler looking dude playing sax, oiled up at the gig.
Yeah.
Right near the beginning. Yeah, he is the
Is
guy
he a
on the
sax
soundtrack.
player?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe so, because I've literally, I watched the movie 2 days ago, and without Googling anything about it, I flicked on TikTok a couple of hours later, and he came up about 5 videos in playing the sax, I think topless, like recently.
Yeah.
He's still going.
Is he still look as good?
I wouldn't be honest. I didn't stick around on that reel for very long. But he looked
he does
bloody
look
good
very
considering
good.
this was meant to be 30 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, because he looked good. I never looked that good in my youth.
No. Or now.
Well, obviously not now. Jesus Christ.
Thomas Newman did the score. So he also did Shawshank, Skyfall and Spectre.
Holy shit.
Yeah. But
God,
the
this
thing
is quite an early one for him then, presumably.
Yeah. But the score for me is so overshadowed by the rest of the soundtrack, by the great songs and the musical artists. And it sort of seems like a really easy gig with a movie filled with music by other people for 90% of it.
I'm not sure I paid attention to the incidental music or the score. I was well aware
That's the
of
thing, I didn't hear much of it. There was a couple of moments, but I thought, you've got paid for this. I don't know how much work you've had to do.
Because there's an awful lot of other people doing the music. Yeah.
Cry, I mean, I don't know what deal they had for Cry Little Sister, but they milked it.
Yeah.
It does work, though. It works brilliantly. If you had to rank the soundtrack independently of the movie, where would you go?
I reckon B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird for me because I said what a great example of a memorable movie soundtrack it is. And it is really memorable for me. I just don't really ever want to put it on. So I'll go with a B, but it's a careless, reluctant B.
Who would have been really good in this? Or who could have done a song or had some sort of cameo or something, or who fits the part, is Billy Idol.
Yeah.
Because he had the white hair, punk
I can see
sort
that.
of look, kind of that grungy singing kind of voice. He would have been quite funny in this.
Yeah. Vampire Wedding.
Yeah, right. Shotgun.
That's a really good shout, actually.
Yeah.
And I think my problem with the soundtrack is it's just so all over the place in terms of style, in terms of the artists that are on it. If this was an album that sounded like Cry Little Sister throughout and just kept that darkness, I'd be like, this is fucking amazing. Now, I know that'll probably be sacrilegious for a lot of people who absolutely adore it. But it's just not something I ever want to put on because it's a bit of a weird mood to want to be in. Mm-hmm. Just as a side note, I just caught a glimpse of myself with my eyeliner and eyeshadow, and I think I might have to rock this more often. Right, let's talk about things we want to talk about.
Let's.
And I'll start with something I don't want to talk about.
Okay.
And that is in the 2025 documentary Corey Feldman versus the World. Corey Feldman claimed that Corey Haim had done, I'm going to try and avoid using the words, but had sort of, well, he'd abused him during the time they were making this film. And other people get involved. There's some famous names in here. If you want to go and find out more about it, you can. One of them is an actor who I almost got a job with 20 so years ago, maybe. Wow. And it's on the set. It was the first time that Corey Haim tried marijuana. Alex Winter described the set as like a fucking madhouse. And I think it was just a hotbed for some really fucked up shit that would end up putting Corey Haim into a bit of a spin that he would never really recover from.
Wow.
That's as dark as this fucking movie and the soundtrack can be at times. But yeah, it's in there. I don't really want to talk about it. It's not very fun, and it's not very pleasant to talk about a lot of it. If you want to dive deeper, go and do it. It's out there on Google. But it would feel amiss if we didn't even touch on it. So over to you.
It's a fair point. There's a few things there I didn't know about either, but I know that, reading about some of it's quite dark. Yeah. For me, I was expecting it to be darker. I know that it was it's a teen film, obviously, that's, vampires and darker, and I know I was confusing it with An Interview with a Vampire. But it felt, you mentioned earlier the third act, and I think you're absolutely right, because I've written down here that it feels it's three parts, this film, very much. There's three acts to this film. You've got the beginning where they're sort of they're discovering the place and fitting in and seeing how they can fit in from having moved from Phoenix or wherever it was, and they've come to California. And then second bit is when he's become a vampire but hasn't yet fully committed, kind of thing, and all that sort of stuff, and he's having a standoff with his brother. And then the third act is where it all just goes nuts in the house and they're trying to kill them all. But each act is very separate from each other bit, and then and the last act is very comedy.
Yeah,
very comedy, very Goonies. That's the bit that I was referring to. It's almost like Goonies meets Home Alone in its slapstickness. Because I won't lie to you, I was a little bit bored the first 2/3,
right,
and then in the last third, it was like, this is quite funny now, but it lost that darkness. It just became a comedy film.
Yeah. And
it did make me wonder if, I don't know, the producers got involved at some point, or they'd done some test screenings and they're like, yeah, no, this is too dark. We're going to need to liven it. All right, we'll do something with it. And what they did is they couldn't reshoot or do loads of pickups for the first 2/3 of the film. So they just like, well, fuck it. We'll just go and have this madhouse at the end, and, this can come out the pipes and that can happen and this can happen. It's all funny. And it just felt weirdly detached. Don't get me wrong.
The first half is like style and darkness, and then
yes,
the second bit is more fun.
It's just fun and camp and like, wow, this is funny. And then
it's funny you talk about the three distinct acts and all that, because for me in my head I was like, well, you got the first act is Star Wars 1977. You got the setup and establishment of all the characters. The second act is Empire Strikes Back, where everything goes wrong. He gets bitten by the vampire. It's all the dark shit. And the third act is Return of the Jedi, when everyone, it's the comedy, it's the teddy bears, it's the big pushback and the big fight where they win.
I was thinking the same thing. I didn't want to write down that it was like the three Star Wars movies, but I'm glad you did bring that up. Yeah.
I know you don't like to talk about how much you love Star Wars.
I don't. I've obviously, because I've obviously seen Star Wars a lot. And I know that I go on about it far too much. So
the problem is you watch so much Star Wars, it doesn't leave much room for you to watch anything else.
It doesn't. That's the trouble. I never watch films. In fairness, I've never. I mean, how few films I've seen, and it's. I mean, it even brings comments in.
Stop watching Star Wars.
I know. God. Yeah.
Do you want to do that now?
I can do.
You said you were going to talk about it.
I was going to talk about it. Well, actually, yeah, I was going to. Yeah, all right. Hold on. I'll tell you what, I need to bring it up now. I need to find it.
We should preface this by saying that we put a podcast on the internet. We're going to get shitty comments from time to time. We generally don't care, water off a duck's back. We've got some lovely Patreons that we pay attention to. And we always try and do the right thing. We always try and be entertaining and educational, whatever we want to be, but ultimately we're going to be ourselves. And from time to time, we're going to get some comments. And that's okay. One of them, though, you've really enjoyed this week.
I have genuinely enjoyed this week, and I'm absolutely loving it. So, and I sent you a message earlier about this one. So we've had a comment on our Spotify from someone called Hollywood Actor Lab, and they've said, "There is no nice way to say this, but I can't listen to this anymore." This is what I like about this very much. Your number 2 guy knows absolutely nothing about movies, and all he says is he hasn't seen anything. And frankly, I have not once heard a bit or fun fact that I didn't already know. Fair enough. There's fun banter and nostalgia, but half the conversation is guy 1 teaching guy 2 about stuff he didn't know. I know you're friends, but why is he a co-host about movies when he doesn't know anything about movies? I can't anymore.
Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong.
No, not at all. The only thing he's wrong about is the fact he's assuming that I'm guy 2 and you're guy 1.
Or that we're friends.
Because we're fucking not.
I love the scandalous notion that you only got this job because we're friends.
I know. It's like, why am I a co-host? Because, I don't know, we just like talking to each other, for fuck's sake. And yeah, I don't know a lot about movies, and Gareth does. But the fact is I've acted in quite a lot of movies. I've worked behind the scenes on quite a lot of movies.
But you do know a lot about movies. The problem is we frame you sometimes as the guy who doesn't know a lot about movies, and it's almost a bit of a character you play. But there are times when you can't have seen every movie that we talk about. And,
it's true.
And you openly admit, and we both try and openly admit and be honest about what we have and haven't seen and what we do and do not know.
Dude, yeah.
And we can't watch every movie that we talk about. We're going to watch every movie that we talk about as the main show, but in doing that we're going to talk about loads of other movies. So there it is. It's a criticism. It's fine.
I know. I must admit, I genuinely actually quite enjoyed that because it does bring a side to it that, that's a valid point. So yeah, do I come across as someone that doesn't watch movies? And evidently I do. But I quite like the fact that you teach me about stuff. But similarly, I mean, I teach you an awful lot about, I don't know, diving related stuff or fencing related stuff or climbing related stuff, and the stuff that I do for a living, that you see in movies and go, well, that's not quite right, but who cares because it's a movie. I'm sorry, Hollywood Actor Lab, if you're not going to listen to us anymore, sorry to lose you.
We are sorry to lose anyone that decides not to listen. If it's not for you, that's entirely your choice. And
absolutely.
We wouldn't want anyone to be forced to listen to it against their will. But, we'll try and get AJ to watch some more movies. I got told off this week for swearing. So
did you?
Yeah, someone in the comments said it was a great content. Shame about the swearing.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah, that's what I said. Thanks a fucking lot, love. Anyhow, let's talk about The Lost Boys. The head vampire.
Yes.
I deliberately didn't talk about him in the casting. I loved the reveal of the head vampire not being Keith Sutherland, but Max, the older man that the mum is dating. What's hard for me is if I knew, if I saw it coming back in the day. Now it seems pretty obvious, but still really enjoyable. And Edward, I mean, before I get into it, given you hadn't seen it before, did you see it coming?
No.
Really?
Well, yes, because they ruled it out.
Yeah.
They'd fed him garlic, which obviously, okay, we find out later on when there's garlic in the bath that we know that he says, oh, garlic doesn't work kind of thing. So, okay. But they put water on him and stuff, and I thought actually, yeah, they had, because I thought it was him, but then, no, it wasn't him. They'd ruled him out. I thought, no, I hadn't seen that coming. And then it wasn't until, like, in Keith Sutherland, then well, then it must be him. So I did figure, but only right at the point at which the reveal was. I just love his fashion. Oh, man, what fashion.
Edward Herrmann is a great actor with so many credits to his name across movies, TV, voice work and theatre. He's won a Tony and an Emmy, and he died in 2014. But his estate allowed his voice to be synthesised, this is before AI,
Whoa.
So it could be used on audiobooks, which they receive royalties from. How lovely. I mean, he's so good in this, don't you think?
Very much so. Very much so. I think it's very sweet when he keeps getting interrupted on his dates and he's like, God, we'll try again. We'll have another go. So it's just kind of lovely. I like his character a lot. And then he's a fucking vampire. Oh my God.
He's so nerdy and weird throughout most of it. And then when his time comes, he just does this like, it's like egotistical, suave, reveal. Well, never invite me in.
Yes.
I don't know why I camped it up a bit, but there is a bit of campness to him in the reveal.
Oh, very much so. Very much so. But what's weird is, at the beginning, when they go into the video shop and he says, I told you guys not to come in here.
It's one of my favourite moments, that.
Although, I must admit, I didn't think his face makeup was as good as Sutherland's. Sutherland felt, right and evil and, whereas his vampire face felt a bit comical.
Yeah, the budget went on Kiefer.
Yes, and rightfully so.
The sequel. Joel Schumacher had wanted to make a sequel called The Lost Girls, and he tried to make it several times in the 90s. He was going to bring back Kiefer as his character, who was intended to survive, because if you noticed, he isn't shown as disappearing or anything like that when the others do.
When he lands on the antlers. Yeah.
When he's on the antlers, yeah. He doesn't disappear, he doesn't explode, doesn't piss blood everywhere. So I don't know whether that was in the script deliberately or not, but that was the logic they were going to use to bring him back. But he didn't. And Lost Boys, The Tribe, came out in 2008, straight to DVD. Feldman, Haim, and a couple of others sort of returned. Kiefer wasn't in it, but his half-brother, Angus Sutherland, is as the lead vampire.
I didn't know he had a half-brother called Angus. That's fucking cool.
I know, right? I'll be honest, I have not seen 2008's Lost Boys, The Tribe, but it was Warner Premiere's highest-selling DVD of 2008, and they immediately greenlit a third movie. The sequel cost $5 million, and it made that back in the first 3 weeks in DVD sales.
Bloody hell.
But
even though it was straight to DVD, fair play.
Yeah, but had awful reviews. The worst, you might say, currently has 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
Corey Feldman came back for a third straight-to-DVD movie, which also has 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. There was talk of the fourth movie and a TV series. Nothing's happened. 2021, there was talks about a new film coming, but we haven't seen it yet. Whether we will or not, I don't know. It feels like the sort of film they could now remake, even though everyone won't want them to. Would you see a sequel?
I saw that there were sequels. I saw that it was direct-to-DVD, and, when you see direct-to-DVD or direct-to-video, it puts you off immediately, doesn't it? Somehow, when you see the words direct-to-video, that just screams really bad, really budget, or really shit, or all of the above. So, no.
And it's sometimes unfair.
Like and it is.
The Tremors movies are a great example of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which, we can probably hear more about. And if you want to go back and listen to my conversation with S.S. Wilson, the creator and director of Tremors.
Yeah, very true.
We talked about Top Gun a couple of weeks ago and how it had some homoerotic scenes, such as when they're playing volleyball on the beach.
Yeah.
Did you get any of that sort of vibe from this?
I don't think so. Or
I did.
Did you? When?
Well, sort of throughout, a bit like when they're getting Jason Patrick to drink the blood, and it's a bit like, come on, be one of us boys,
Okay, in the cave and the okay,
and Alex Winter said that Joel Schumacher, he was just praising Joel Schumacher, and he said he really understood homoeroticism and sexual ambiguity and sexual adventurousness. I
read a little bit about Joel Schumacher. And this is on his Wikipedia, but I don't know if this is absolutely true or not. But he quoted himself to be extremely promiscuous, and has slept with between 10 to 20,000 men.
Stop it! 10 to 20. How many would that be a day?
I mean, this is on his Wikipedia page. 10 to 20,000 men. I mean.
He's like the Grand Old Duke of York.
I mean, good on you. Oh,
he had 10,000 men.
Mr. Mountbatten Windsor.
Oh.
The Duke of York. I mean, he's not the Duke of York anymore, is he?
I'm going to ask my friend ChatGPT. How old was Joel Schumacher when he died?
I don't know.
Can I put my glasses on to do this bit? Because I need to type. Oh, shubba. He died in 2020.
He was 80.
Aged 80. Right. So, if a man dies aged 80 and slept with 10,000 men, How many men?
This
Is
sounds like
that
one of those
per day?
mathematics questions.
About one man every 3 days.
A different man every 3... I mean, that's
That doesn't
doable.
sound enough. Doable. But is that from birth? Hang on. No. If you assume that an active adult life of, say, 60 years, 20 to 80, that's one man every 2 days.
Okay, well, it's still doable.
Across your entire adult life. ChatGPT describes that as, frankly, that's a very committed social schedule. No small talk required.
I'd have a go.
I bet you would.
I mean, I'm a bit behind now, but like...
Yeah, you've got some catching up to do.
I've got some catching up to do, but I'll have a go. Come on, let's go.
Right, hang on. I'm going back in. If a man starts aged 40 and has 40 years, how many does he have to sleep with to get to 10,000? Well, bear in mind, my maths on that was for 10,000, not 20,000 that he claimed.
Yeah,
so
right.
we'd have to do double that. AJ, I've got bad news for you. If you want to get to 10,000 partners by the time you're 80, you would have to do what ChatGPT describes as a full-time lifestyle with very little downtime for breaks, illness,
Nice.
relationships, and travel.
Oh, sounds fine to me.
You would have to sleep with 5 people every week.
Wow. So 2 days off? I mean, that's all right. Ice bath. No drama. I mean, it's totally doable.
I mean, look, if Bonnie Blue can do 1,000 in a day,
Yeah, right, exactly, man.
Easy.
Good on Bonnie.
call
No
this 10
drama.
days work.
I mean, that's it. Get it, smash it out. Like, you know,
Shall we move on?
if we must.
Shall we talk about the end of the movie?
Get
It's
fucking
97 minutes
cancelled.
long. I would argue this feels a bit longer than 97 minutes, actually.
Yeah, it did, didn't it?
And it turns out Grandpa knew about the vampires all along, that little scamp.
I'm not surprised. What made me laugh is that there were absolutely no references or references that I spotted to the Grateful Dead, considering he was a hippie. Usually hippies in films or things like that have always got some sort of like tie-dye t-shirt or Grateful Dead t-shirt on. And none of that. He was just a horny old man.
Feels a bit reckless from the grandpa for me. Mate, you almost lost your grandkids.
I know.
You could have warned them. I mean, at least they don't fucking move here.
Yeah.
Get me out of here, if anything, is what you want to be saying.
Right.
I really liked the way that Max explained his plan with his dating the mum to get to the kids.
Yeah.
Thought that whole scene was great. That was a classic example for me of just watching actors be really good.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel about the end of the movie sort of paying off the rest of the 96 minutes that you'd watched?
I definitely woke up a little bit, but only because it was just kind of fun. It just didn't fit in with the rest of the movie at all. At all.
Would you have liked the rest of the movie to be a bit more fun?
Yes.
Or would you have preferred the rest for the third act to have been darker?
That's the thing, right? It could either. But pick one. I don't think
Yeah.
I would have minded either way. I'd prefer all of the movie to be a bit more, quote unquote, Goonies, or the rest. You know, that last third to be a bit more darker. Maybe there's the showdown in a cave or the house, or it's quite subtly darker rather than just like full comic thing going on. It just felt a bit too much, basically.
If you'd said to me that Joel Schumacher shot the first 2 acts of this and Dick Donner took over for the third, I would have gone, oh, that makes sense.
Totally, yeah.
Because
yeah.
it's so clashing. But no, not the case.
Yeah.
It's all Schumacher.
Schumacher!
Sorry.
That was brilliant, Murray. Well done. Go, go, go!
It's 1997 again.
All over again, isn't it? It did feel weird. Can only think that surely there was some producers getting involved there, or the production company, or the whatever, just saying, bit dark now, gonna have to change this, guys. It just feels like someone's got involved there.
Right, let's talk about our favourite scenes and lines.
I really like the scene where he's out with them, hasn't gone to the cave yet, and they're on this railway bridge.
This is literally my first scene as well I was going to talk about.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So he decides, this is where he's like, oh, God, do I trust these guys? Do I want to go? Do I want to hang out with them? And they sort of drop off this bridge, and then they're hanging on these railings. And there's this tension between them all. And Sutherland's looking at him, and all the other guys drop. They all let go and drop down, and they're holding on. They're rattling because of the trains running over the tracks, and they're all sort of like rattling on these things. And he's looking at him, and he's like, "Shit, what do I do? Do I go? Do I not go?" And he's like, and then Sutherland lets go, and he's like, "Shit, what do I do now? Do I go or not?" And he's like, it almost looks like no, I don't actually want to go. And he tries to pull himself up a little bit. Then he realizes he's out of strength, and he's going to have to let go. And does he let go because he's out of strength and he has to, or because he wants to commit and join them?
Oh,
yeah. Never
thought about that ambiguity before.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether he's had to because he's run out of strength. He's just hanging there. Because I've obviously been there climbing and stuff like that. It's like, yep, no, I'm out now. I literally can't pull myself up. I don't know. Is it because he just wasn't strong enough to pull himself up that he joined in with them all? And then obviously he's falling down and then just ends up in bed. But
I'd like to have had a more explanation of that bit.
It was just a bit weird, wasn't it? Because obviously been to the cave, done all that, and then ended up just straight back to bed. It's like, well, how the fuck did you end up there? Did they fly him home?
Do you think that the bit on the bridge didn't happen, and he's drunk the blood and stuff in the cave, and then had a dream, like a fever dream, and someone's taken him home?
I must have done.
So he never left the cave.
That's interesting.
Never crossed my mind until now.
They didn't do the bridge at all. Yeah.
The scene on the bridge, for one, it looks cool. And it's the modern poster, basically. It's the cover in certain places. And also, it's just tense and you have no idea what's going to happen. And I love the way they pull it off. The way that the vampires drop down is intriguing.
Yeah.
Where you see them hanging and then you get the train, the shaking, and one by one they drop and you don't know what's happened to them. But you sort of still hear them. And then Michael drops and suddenly he's home. It's just a great scene.
I really liked the tension between him and Sutherland in this. And they could have dragged him down, or they could have pushed him or whatever. But it was very much, well, it's your call.
Yeah, one of my favourite lines is when we talked about it earlier. Just after Michael almost attacks his brother in the bath, Sam says, "My own brother's a goddamn blood-sucking vampire. You wait until Mom finds out, buddy."
Yes, that was it. It was just the way you wait till Mum finds out. It's great. I love that.
Brilliant. That was probably my favourite moment in the whole movie, really.
Excellent. I've got a line here where I don't remember who it is. I think it's Haim who's got the bow and arrow, and he shoots one of the vampires. and like, I don't know, he gets him wrong, or it's just like, oh, well, you didn't shoot me, correctly or something like that. Then he shoots him again, and it gets him and pins him to a fucking stereo.
Yeah. This is on my list.
Oh, excellent. Brilliant.
Yeah. So he says, it's like a classic 70s one-liner.
Yeah.
So he says, you missed, sucker. And he says, only once, pal.
Yes, that's the one. And there's like, death by stereo. It's great. I love it.
I mean, it's 80s ridiculous stereo explosion type thing
I know.
as well.
And it's playing music as well, which I think is the best bit. Like, this whole death by stereo is so fucking cool. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
My other favourite line is Keith Sutherland, who says, "You'll never grow old, Michael, and you'll never die, but you must feed." It was just delivered in such a way that was, it's so one of those, this is a written line that's been said, and it's just, it didn't really, I say it's a favourite line because it's ridiculous the way it was done.
Yeah.
It was like someone's reading a poster someone's reading a line off of a poster.
Yes. Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. There wasn't a whole load of memorable, quotable lines in this film for me.
Yeah. I've got two more scenes. One, it's not a favourite scene as such, I just thought it was notable, is when they kill one of the vampires in the bath of holy water, and suddenly there is blood coming out of every hole in the bathroom, and it's bursting out of pipes. It's just everywhere. There's blood everywhere.
Yeah.
Just an disproportionate amount of blood. I thought this was a ridiculous scene that they were clearly having fun with. And the second one was, just my favourite scene in the whole thing might be the head vampire reveal. Just that great performance from Edward Herrmann as he transforms and confronts everyone and reveals his plot. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Right, time to rank it. Where are we going? Is it your first time viewing this?
It is my first time viewing this.
Interesting. So I watched this with my partner, and I didn't tell her what the film was about at all.
Okay.
And at first, when sort of weird shit's happening, she thought it was aliens.
Okay.
And then she just kept saying, Mothman.
Right. Okay.
And she quite enjoyed it. She gave it a B.
Okay.
And she asked me what I was going to give it. And I was like, I can't even think about it until I'm doing the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll make my mind up in the moment.
Because I've been also thinking about it. And I've been umming and ahhing a lot. And it's bloody difficult because it's just, it's all over the shop, right? And we watched this as a family the other night, and I Googled it because we had one of my daughter's friends actually was staying over. So I did actually look up the age rating because I thought it was a darker film. I thought it was, much darker. So I was like, oh, I don't. If a friend, a friend of a friend's watching, I don't want them to go back to their parents and go, oh, we saw, the Lost Boys. Like, oh shit. So we looked it up, and I remember reading about it. It's like, oh yeah, no, it's fine. It's suitable for, so I think it had a 15 rating in the UK. It's totally fine for the kids to watch. No drama. Having watched it, yeah, it's no drama at all. It's just basically a mental sort of Goonies thing. So it was absolutely no problem at all. It is all over the shop. I couldn't quite figure it out. And it's a little bit like The Karate Kid. You watched The Karate Kid and absolutely loved it and gave it an S, if I remember right.
Yeah, probably.
You're all over it. I missed that as a kid. I watched it as an adult, didn't really get it. I didn't really rank it very highly. In fact, I think I was really bored by it completely. It's unfortunately the same for this film. I didn't watch it as a teenager. It passed me by because it came out, I was 1 when it came out for a start, so I wasn't the demographic. I missed it growing up. It, unlike Labyrinth, which obviously I love and, came out at the same sort of time, that got me and stayed with me, and I absolutely love it and think it's fantastic. This film, I just couldn't buy it, I'm afraid, and I really tried to really get into it, but I just couldn't. So I'm going to give it a C.
Okay.
It wasn't terrible. It was great. Kiefer Sutherland was wonderful in it. There were lots of standout moments in it. The comical scenes were funny. The dark scenes were dark. It was good. The coherence just wasn't there, I feel, and I think I can't give it more, I'm afraid.
That's your opinion.
It is.
Nobody can hold that against you.
It is.
There will be a lot of upset people, though.
I'm sure there will be.
And we should say as well that we'll come on some Patreon comments and stuff in a minute, but this was our Patreon pick. This was the movie that was selected by our Patreons in our live hangout, which we do monthly, and we have a Patreon pick every 6 weeks, I think it is. So basically, we all nominated a film in our monthly live hangout, all the Patreons, and then picked one at random. And this was it. This was Kat's pick. She loves this movie.
Yes.
So Kat will be devastated
Very
by
disappointed.
your bashing of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a B. Unlike you, I have had this in my life for 30 years, almost. And, I was watching it when I was 16, watched it quite a bit back then. I haven't really chose to go back to it much. Maybe I've watched it once since my 20s. So I did enjoy it. I very much did enjoy it. And it was a good walk down memory lane. I should say a little fly down memory lane. And it was more enjoyable than I sort of remember in a way for that third act and for Corey Haim being better than I remember. Mm-hmm. But when would I choose to put it on again in a hurry? Probably not. So I guess a B from me. A fairly strong B, I'd say. But, it did go on and inspired things like the original, the OG Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, for one, which has Kiefer's dad, Donald Sutherland, as a vampire hunter.
Yeah.
And things like What We Do in the Shadows reference it as well.
Yeah, I mean, even the Noodles, because I know they... Obviously, it's a brilliant film, comic fantasticness. I know they've got the worms or when they're eating the noodles. I think that's referenced in the film, which is very funny. And certainly the prosthetics that they use on the head are very much like Buffy. So this certainly went on to inspire Buffy the series, which I loved. that was watch that every week, on whatever, BBC Two, is it? Whatever it was, with Sarah Michelle Gellar. And obviously, Xander, the actor who plays Xander, whose name I'd have to actually look up, unfortunately. I read, I think this morning or yesterday, that he recently passed away.
Yeah,
and I loved his character, actually. I liked the comedy that he brought to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He was a big part of my childhood. So yeah.
Yes, Nicholas Brendon.
That's the one. Thank you.
54 he was, sadly.
Yeah.
Right, it's time to talk about some of our comments from our Patreons. The specs are back on, so at least I can read. I'll start mentally editing Kat's fucking epic that she's...
That is lot of writing.
Like thousands of words.
I'll start then with Doc JT. The first time I ever watched Lost Boys was after watching the 2 direct-to-video sequels, The Tribe and The Thirst. That's interesting. I was a kid who liked horror stuff, and throughout the vampires, the character of Edgar Frog were so cool, I sought out the original, watched it on Netflix, and was blown away. I love that the Frog brothers / Sam were close to my age, and also the main leads. Also had a crush on Jamie Gertz while watching. Well, hey, as a young horror fan, it just clicked every box, even though I don't think you need to love horror to love Lost Boys. Watching it now, I just love how much it's a perfect movie for 2 age classes of people. Kids and preteens can get behind the Frog brothers and Sam. The young adults and teenagers can enjoy the Star / David scenes with the vampire group. Both love monsters and some gore. I love the idea of this corrupted Peter Pan motive of the town being like Neverland, the Lost Boys being led, who you thought was Kiefer wanting to stay young and free forever. And as I'm writing this, you could have Grandpa be Captain Hook. I like that. That's interesting. I like that. The direction, I think, tends to be young with free energy and looking like a cool MTV era music video. This is very true, because you said at the beginning, MTV had just launched. So, MTV's a very, very, prominent thing. So, yeah, I think you've got a fair point there, Doc. I wouldn't say it would make my favourites list. I do think it's one of the best 80s horrors and more important vampire movies.
Right, I'm gonna read some stuff from Kat. Now,
I think she's written an awful lot. I think we should put this up on our website for what she's written here for people who
post the whole thing in full on the website at some point. So she said, if you thought my Labyrinth comments were long, strap in, boys. Kat, there are thousands of words here. And what I've done, I'm just going to be open about it. I've asked ChatGPT to pull out the best, the strongest bits that are the most important, because there's no way I can read this. It would be a whole podcast to read it. So here's what it says. And Kat does say she watched this for the first time on her 18th birthday. Missed it at the cinema, but it was on VHS. And as a goth, it felt like the perfect film for me. So from the first viewing, I was drawn in. Right, and here are Kat's key points, as summarised by our friends over at ChatGPT. The film moves effortlessly between ordinary, light-hearted moments and dark, brooding scenes. It shows how quickly the story shifts from everyday life to horror, from laughter to chills in a heartbeat. The way Lost Boys balances the humour, suspense and danger without ever losing momentum keeps you engaged from start to finish. The lack of development of the female characters, there you go, that's what you said, is a missed opportunity and a flaw. The soundtrack, though, is flawless. Santa Carla feels like a character in its own right, a town dripping with menace and mystery. What does Kat say at the end? And that final scene with Grandpa calmly sipping his root beer as he delivers the iconic line about Santa Carla being full of vampires is the perfect ending. It's sly, it's sly, ironic, and hilarious, leaving you laughing and slightly unnerved all at once. It perfectly sums up why The Lost Boys remains a defining S-tier film for me. Dark, stylish, funny, and utterly unforgettable.
There you go.
Well, we're all over the place, aren't we?
We are. Thank you very much, Kat. That's brilliant. Sorry. I feel bad now.
We can't feel bad for your honestly held opinions.
Simon, one of our Patrons. Incidentally, if you're listening to this and you do want to get involved, please do hop over to Patreon.
Patreon.com/Rewind Classic Movies.
get involved and send us your thoughts. Simon says this is a real video shop staple. It was the film you rented when nothing else took your fancy. I loved this film at the time, and having watched it again recently, I was still completely charmed by its pure 80s excesses. Impossibly good-looking people doing preposterous things. This is very true. What's not to
I
like?
think he's talking about us.
Oh, obviously. I could be old and cantankerous and rate it as it stands, but it has too much to love about it, the soundtrack being one of them. There you go. So it's going to be an S tier for me.
Okay.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. I knew it had some love.
A lot of love, it seems.
Bryn says, I remember The Lost Boys being a big deal when it came out in 87, but back then the only vampires I was interested in lived in castles and looked like Bela Lugosi. I don't know who that is. It'd be many years before I don't know.
Oh, wow. The OG.
Yeah. It would be many years. I need to read this properly. It'd be many years before I finally saw the movie when I was flicking around for anything vaguely interesting to watch on TV. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it.
Oh, okay.
However, that changed. Seeing it a second time in preparation for this podcast. Jason Patrick, with his brooding Jim Morrison looks, may not be the most compelling of leads, but he's supported by a wonderful cast. We get comedy, we get horror, and we get a great modern-day take on the vampire legend that feels genuinely original. The soundtrack is stunning. Not just the songs, of which Cry Little Sister is the greatest, but Thomas Newman's score too. We missed that, really, didn't we? The whole movie looks and sounds magnificent, and even if there's perhaps more style than substance, amen, when it's as good as this, I don't care. There's a reason why some films become iconic, and I now understand why this is one of them. Still, I was wary of allowing its status and my affection for the 80s to influence my ranking, and I was prepared to go as low as a B. Like I did, not prepared to go as low as a C, which you did.
I did.
If I thought the film deserved it. But
which
as it impressed me again with the genius decision to close out with Roger Daltrey's version of Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, I knew it had to be... That's right. S tier, says Bryn.
Ooh.
Oh dear.
Ooh.
Out of touch much?
I think quite possibly. Yeah. Yeah.
A C and a B we give it, and those guys will give it S tier.
Everyone's giving it S tier all round. Yeah.
Oh well.
How about that?
Soz. That's all we can say.
Yeah.
Right, if you want more things about great movie soundtracks, we'll both be back next week with a Fast Forward episode, and we'll pick our favourite scores and songs from films we love. How are you feeling about that, AJ?
I am indeed feeling good about that. I've got some good ones here. Got some good ones.
Nice. Me too. I think mine, there might be some unusual choices in mine. There might be some predictable ones, but there we go. But what's the next movie we'll be rewinding on the main show? Well, it's AJ's turn to pick.
It is. Let's just say this. Where we're going, we don't need roads. For some reason, I'm Murtaugh. Riggs. Where we're going, we don't need roads. We don't need roads, Riggs.
I'm too old for these roads, Riggs. Jesus.
Anyway, please leave. Please, for God's sake, please just leave us a review, as long as it's nice, on your podcast platform of choice, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever. If you really can't anymore, it all really helps. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Rewind Classic Movies. If you want to drop us an email, it's rewindclassicmovies@gmail.com.
Right, that's the show. Thanks so much for spending time with us. If you want to come hang out, get behind-the-scenes access, updates, bonus content, or early access to the episodes, then head over to our Patreon, where you can get a backlot pass for as little as $5 a month. We'll see you next week. Sorry about the mess. Say goodbye, AJ.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Dun, 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 dun.